Hi everyone. Please make sure you read and listen to the whole video. I've had to make changes when I made the Truffula Trees from the beginning part of the video that's getting ready to show. I tell you towards the end of all the changes that I had to do. So the video that was being made, this is the first time I've ever made the Truffula Trees. It is 3.5 feet tall. You can't quite see all of it, but I'm sitting down, so it's not that very tall, and I have it propped up on something. And they're easy to carry around. Of the material that I've used, they're not that heavy, and this is great for those who have kids and want to do Dr. Seuss right across America, or do any of his books. You can have the Truffula Trees all the time in your classrooms. If you want to make a theme of a room for your child, these are great to deal with. This is really big, as you can tell, but please make sure you go through the whole video before purchasing the items and starting to work on that, because I did have to change things from the beginning of this video I'm getting ready to show you to the end of the video. So thank you. Please check it out. Okay, now I'm going to spray paint all of these, and I may have to use several coats of paint. I'm using this one, a paint and a primer, and I use satin white so it's not too shiny. And I would probably suggest using the spray paint for the sealer that is like a satin, so it's not really shiny, because I don't really like the flat either. So I'm going to take these pots. I'm going to spray paint them again. I might have to do several coats, and I'm going to take the hula hoop pieces and spray them white as well. So it looks like I'm going to have to spray paint these several coats. Because reason why I'm putting them white, because I want to make some designs on these. It's going to say stuff about Dr. Seuss and about the Truffula Trees. So I want to use white for it to really stand out. So I'm going to head and turn the video part off for now and finish spray painting things. See y'all in a bit. Okay, I had to resort to a different type of paint. I ended up using an acrylic paint, and I took a sponge. I had to go back and paint these, and it was much quicker. I tried to do multiple layers with the spray paint, but it didn't work. So you can use any type of acrylic paint. It doesn't have to be this particular brand. So let's go with the darker parts of the Truffula Trees. So you have, if you look closely, zoom in, these Truffula Trees have little lines, and they're not quite black. I know I've seen other people do Truffula Trees, and their lines are dark black, which they're not. In reality, in real life, you'll never see like really dark lines that are completely black like that. So this one that I'm using, I'm going to use this ceramic one, And this one is a charcoal color. It's dark. It's not quite black. Again, you can use a different brand, but I particularly liked this color. Here you don't have to dump it onto any little plates, but if you want to, you can. I like to use just straight out of the cap. That way, I save washing time, I save any extra messes, things like that. So, let's go ahead and start with at least a one Truffula tree. Okay, and just to be random, because remember that Truffula tree was not, it wasn't all the way through, right? And then, in nature, you never ever, I won't say never ever, but rarely have anything that is going to be the same. So you can go all the way around, but I wouldn't go all the way around on all of them when you do the paint. I would do the smaller ones, like so. See how I'm doing little smaller ones than this one? So I'm going to do some smaller ones, but I'm not going to connect all of them all the time. Because if you look at the Truffula tree, like say in the movie, and I'm going to get dunked, I'm just dunking my, got a little thing of water here. I'm just dunking a little bit in there so that my paint doesn't completely dry out. So here, and gonna keep going all the way down. Again, I'm not going to I'm not making it even. I don't want to make it even. Sorry, I don't want to make it even. So I am going to go closer and let it kind of be random. Because remember, in nature, not everything is perfectly spaced. Not everything has the perfect shape. Just going to wet my brush a little bit here. It's starting to get dry. Okay. And let's do a big skip here, because these kind of remind me of the rings that you see inside an actual tree, to let you know how many years it is, except for just kind of on the outside. And at the same time, it kind of reminds me of birch trees. So if you have birch trees around your house and you'd like to, I would go take a look at them if you'd like to look at them first to kind of give you an idea of how you want to do these. Okay, so it's starting to actually kind of look like a birch tree, and it's starting to look like the Lorax tree, the Truffula tree. I'm going to go ahead and finish this up, and then I'm going to go and paint my other three the same way. On this video, I'm going to cut it off, and then when you come back, it's going to be, they're going to be completely done, and then we can move on to the next phase of building the Truffula tree. Hi, welcome back. While I'm waiting for the Truffula tree trunks to dry after my painting, I'm going to go ahead and work with the pot. Now remember, same thing as with the spray paint. I had to spray everything white, and it didn't work out right, so I went back with the white paint and put put it on with the brush. So I had to do a few coats of that. Now, I wanted to write on the pot with the Dr. Seuss books, with their letters from the books. And some of the writings that Dr. Seuss has, I pulled it up online, the alphabet. I had chosen 3 phrases I wanted to write. One's a Truffula Tree, I speak for the trees, and unless. Because I have 3 sides of this particular pot. I wanted to put them all on each side. Now, I have to do this up close. I went ahead and put some of the writing on here. The Truffula Trees. Sorry it's so close. I put some of the characters. I just freehand drawn it. What you could do, I'm just an average artist. I'm not I speak for the trees. I don't claim to be any major artist or anything like that. You can print them off and then cut them out, the characters, and trace them onto, and I've got a Thneed here. And you can trace them out onto here. But I just freehanded. It's not perfect, but hey, it's for me anyways. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the word unless. I've already put I speak for the trees and the Truffula Trees, and then I left a space for unless. So I'm going to adjust the camera for a moment and put it a little bit higher so that you can watch me put the word unless. And I'm going to get the letters again from online that I pulled up, as you can see over here in the corner, so that I can make sure I write the words correctly. So take a moment. I'm putting this on pause. Hey everyone, I'm going to write the word unless. Now, unless has, let's see, 4, 5, 6 letters. So I want to kind of make sure I get them somewhat even up in here when I write the word unless. And again, I'm going to be looking at that alphabet letters. So I think I'm going to start with the L and put it directly somewhat in the middle, because I want to keep it kind of even. I don't want a word be too far on this side or too far on this side. So I think I'm going to start with the letter L, and I'm going to capitalize all of these letters for unless. And what I'm doing now is I am making these all flow like a river. Okay, so I started with the S, the L. I'm going to put the S with the capital E. And sorry if the camera shakes. I'm working on a table, and the camera's mount is not that stable. So see, I'm just drawing this stuff out freehand. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. But you get the idea of kind of what it's going to look like. And let's put this S just a little bit different. Now I'm going to go back to the N. And let's get with the U. So now I have the word unless. I'm going to go and paint here all these little lines all the way around. I'm probably going to paint that a red. And then all these words, I'm going to go back and paint them different colors. And then obviously I'm going to go back and paint these. So let's start with the line. You can use your regular paintbrush here, or I've got one just a little bit flatter that I've got here. So I'm just going to wet my flatter one because it's going to be just a little bit quicker. And this time around, I've got the ceramic coat, and this is a fire red color. You can use any color you want. This particular one, I am using red. So again, like I told you before, I like to work from the cap so that I save up on my paint. And I'm just going to go through here and slowly paint these lines. As you can see, I'm slowly painting these lines. And this particular pot stops right here. So I am going to stop right where it's at. Now, I can do a second coat if I wanted to, after I let the first side dry. But I'm going to go around and finish painting these. And I'm sorry that when I'm painting it might be a little off the camera, but those of you who have painted before, everybody's pretty much painted when they're a kid. They will, you guys know how to paint. So I'm going to finish all these up, and then I'm going to go back. I'm going to pause this for a moment and finish up the lines, and then we're going to go into talking about what to do with all the drawings. So hold on a moment. All right, everyone, I have painted all the lines all the way across. So now I'm going to go back and paint the other pieces. I'm going to get my lighting a little better for you. Paint all the other parts where I have drawn out. So let's start with I Speak for the Trees. I'm going to paint those. Let's see. I think I'm going to use the green, a fairly bright green. So let's go with this particular one is the sour apple. I'm going to shake that up. You want to make sure your paint's really shaken up really well. And some of you might ask, well, why do you have some of your paint that's upside down? Why are all your paints upside down? I like them upside down because a lot of times when they're sitting up this in the stores, they all get caked up down here. I like to keep them up this way because remember I told you I like working from the cap. So Again, I'm working from the cap, so I'm not wasting a bunch of paint. And I'm going to paint I Speak for the Trees. I'm going to try to stay within the lines. And by the way, I did a second coat of red because if you do a lot of painting, you know, red, brown, those are those main ones, especially that, and any uh, middle color, you have to paint several coats. So because this pot is very porous, I didn't have to do a whole lot of coats on the white. I was glad that it stuck as far as painting it. However, the spray paint, man, that's a different story. That didn't work out right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead through with I Speak for the Trees. I'm going to pause it and do that. I'm going to come back and paint and show you that I'm going to start painting the Lorax. But let me put you on pause for a moment, finish painting this, the I Speak for the Trees, and get back with you. Okay, I have painted I Speak for the Trees. Now I'm going to paint the Lorax. The two colors I'm going to use for his main body, I'm going to be using the yellow orchid. And for his whiskers, I am going to use the school bus yellow. So the first one I'm going to paint, and I'm still using this small brush that you can use from the beginning because you can get more detailed. So I'm going to start painting the Lorax. And some of you might be saying, wow, there's a little mark up here. Don't worry about it, because we're going to paint that later. So let's start painting the Lorax. Get my thing a little wet there, my brush. When your brush is slightly wet, and I mean slightly, it's better off to have it, especially with this porous surface, because that way it'll go all the way through. See how it's starting to get dry down here and I have to keep pushing on that to paint it? Yeah. I'm gonna wet this again. Start painting down here. His feet. And I want to make sure I make these whiskery, however you want to say it, whiskery. And then just like fur, you see the tiny little fur pieces. So instead of drawing a straight line, I am going to just wisp it like that and then fill it in. Move my water a little closer. Again, wisp, wisp. Then if you find that it's going too light because you had too much water on there, you can just go back and paint it to match. And then in actuality, the thinner you go of the paint, the lighter it is. So if you really want to get into doing shadowing, then you can water down your paint on your paintbrush. Like so. Like, see, I did a little bit of shadowing over here. I think I'm going to go back and make that one just a tad bit darker because I do want to get some shadowing going on. Some shadowing effects. Because even in fur, their bellies are, if they're a little bit round, wherever the round part is, then that's where it's going to be lighter. So now I'm going to go back here, start painting his other arm. And you're probably wondering, well, how are you going to see? Well, you can still kind of see the lines. From where I've drawn them. And you're probably wondering, well, what's going to happen? You're going to still see the lines after it's done painting. But I'm going to go back and paint them back with black. So all the lines, and even up in the letters and in the words, all in the pictures, I'm going to go back and paint them with an outline. Some of these lines I had to do because I had a bigger head. I mean, I had a smaller head and I wanted to make it bigger. So I just went back and made a bigger head. Okay, so I'm going to let him dry before I paint down here because I want to make sure that he's dry before I start painting my tree stump. So while I'm waiting for him to dry and do his whiskers, I'm going to move on to the next one. And this particular one is, I'm going to clean my paintbrush here. Let it dry. Is the fish. And the fish has a different color as well. It's got more of a orange color. I think I may do, because I paint, a lot of times I mix colors. So this had some reds in it and it had some yellows, certain hues because I was making it for a certain type of art project that I was doing. So this is the color that I have. And I think I'm going to paint the fish that color. So again, we're going to go and wisp it. Again, and I will apologize if I'm painting off to the side. I am limited on the amount of space higher up as far as what the camera's gonna show. I can't pull the camera up any higher as this, only because this is a big pot. And if you look, I'll have some other videos. If I don't have it up yet, I'm gonna have some other videos of how to do smaller truffula trees. This is going to be a large truffula tree pot, but I have some smaller ones that look exactly like this pot, just smaller. So I'll be doing videos of those as well, because a lot of times I'm going to use different material for the tree trunk, etc., instead of what I used for this big pot. Painting. Okay, painted him. I clean my brush. Let it dry. I'm gonna move over to the water drops, and I think I'm going to use a very bright blue of some sort. So I think I'm going to use this electric blue to pull it out. I'm using this electric blue. Again, working from my top, so I'm not wasting my paint. Let's start from here. I know in the book of the Lorax it shows that this is white, but the reason why they showed it was white is because the grass and the water was behind it. So in order to show the water drops, they use white. So now I'm doing reversal. I'm using the white background with the blue color. I'm not going to touch the eyes of this fish just yet because I want to let this dry. So in the meantime, I'm going to go and paint the Truffula Tree words. Again, I'm cleaning my brush, as you can see here. I always keep a paper towel around, actually a roll, when I do lots of painting. And because I make little miniature pieces for like doll houses and smaller, and create things like that. I just let the paintbrush dry up on here. Let me close this blue. And I'm thinking I'm going to do some type of pink with the Truffula Tree words. So let's see what we got here. I think I'm going to use, and this is just a weird paint. A lot of times I go to a lot of the hardware stores, like the big ones, such as Lowe's and Home Depot. Those are the ones here in the US. So any of those hardware big stores, a lot of times I'm grabbing different types of testers. I'm grabbing testers. A lot of times I'm grabbing just different paints that were on clearance because I always use all the different types of colors. And to have this big bottle was pretty cheap. I think I paid like $2 on clearance because somebody didn't want that color or they were getting rid of that color. So this one is Gildan's little testers, and it has this pink color. So I'm just going to take some of this paint off of here because I'm going to end up tipping this upside down to paint. So even though this has a brush with it, I don't want to use a brush because I need to go into smaller detailed words. So I'm going to paint this Truffula tree words. Let's paint. I'm going to start from the bottom. So you can get you all sorts of paints because a lot of times these paints that you buy in the hardware store are on multiple surfaces, can be used for outside. And after I finish this R, I'm going to pause this video and finish painting the rest of this word Truffula Trees so that this is a shorter video than what it would be. So let me pause it and finish writing, painting in the Truffula Tree words, and I'll get back. All right, I have painted the word Truffula Tree. Now I need to paint the bird that's in the Truffula Tree. And I think for this color here of the body, I'm going to go back with that orange that I painted with the fish. So let's go ahead, paint that. This part is going to be a more of a yellow color, kind of like the Lorax's whiskers. That'll be a lighter color. But here, and let's go backwards and do some wisping here and paint the body. Sorry, let me make sure I get this up in here for you. Again, I'm wisping for the feathers of this bird. I have to wet my paintbrush just a little bit here. Let me get up here, do this. Paint a little drier. When you're painting with a paintbrush, you want to do strokes like this up and down. But that's because I'm to the side. But you never want to do this. Okay. And then, like put your brush straight down and wiggle it like that and put your paint. You want to do strokes. So for those of you who haven't done painting before, that is a tip. You're going to save a lot of brushes that way. Okay, I'm going to let this part dry. I don't want to paint this part yet. I want to let all this dry before I go and paint that side. So now I'm going to move over. I'm going to paint the bear a brown color. Clean my brush. So I'm going to explain everything that I'm going to do here towards the last part. I'm going to paint him a brown, and I'm going to paint him an espresso color. You can use any other type of brown you want to use. I know in the book he's a little more orange, like an orangish red color mixed in with this, but just for my purposes, I want to choose brown. And again, you can use espresso brown. You can use any other color. He's also got the Truffula little seeds that he's picked from the tree. I'm going to use a purple color of some sort to paint that. I'm going to paint the grass, but that'll be later because I got to let him dry first before I decide to paint that. I'm going to come in here and with the word unless, I think I'm going to use another type of blue to do unless. And this is going to be cobalt blue, because cobalt blue really brings, it's a really great color. I love cobalt blue. Brings out the brightness to it, especially with this white background. And then we have a thneed, and the thneed in the book, it's somewhat of this color. This color is a pink melon color. It's a pink melon color. You don't have to get this color. You can use any other color you want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and paint this whole side, come back, and then we're going to go back through and paint all the other pieces that we had to let dry. Okay, so I'm going to put it on pause again. Hi everyone. I have done the animals and the word unless, like I told you I was going to do with the thneed. And you're probably figuring out what's that. So what I'm going to do is paint that. I'm just leaving it white, but then when I go back and trace the outside lines of all my words and pictures, I'm going to trace it with black. But let's go back to the Lorax. Remember I said you had to let it dry, so now I'm going to paint the whiskers, and I'm going to paint the tree trunks. Okay. Again, the whiskers, I'm going to use the school bus red. School bus blue. I don't know where I got the red from. Or blue. This is the yellow. Still using the same brush. I'm going to go back and paint his whiskers. Remember, we're wisping all his whiskers. Now I'm going to come back with like a lighter shade of a pinkish red. and get his lips. And then I'm going to get his nose as well. And because this paint seems a little thinner, I might have to go back and paint his whiskers. Not so sure. We'll see. So I'm going to let that dry, and now I'm going to get down to the bark and the inside of the tree. The bark of the tree, I'm going to use this honeycomb color. It's a honeycomb color. So let's go ahead and get the inside of the tree. I may have to come back over this and paint with an even lighter color because it's starting to run into the same color as the Lorax. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I might come back and do something a little lighter, cream color. So I'm going to have to let this dry before I go back and paint. With the lighter color. I mean, it kind of looks, you can tell the difference, but just for the sake of painting that, I'm going to come back with a different color. Let's use the ivory for when we come back and paint that. While that's drying, I'm using bark brown for the tree itself on the outside. I needed to shake this up first. So now we have the bark brown. And we're going to paint. And then this one, I think I'm going to leave the wisping at the bottom. Oops. Good thing about paint, you always back a fix. So we're going to paint here. And like I said, I'm going to leave the bottom like that. Kind of like it like that. However, I am going to make sure that it gets a round effect. Just a little bit on the trunk. And leave it like that. So it looks like the inside of the tree has dried. Oh, some fast drying. And we're going to go back and paint it with ivory. So it's a much, much, much lighter color. I know with a lot of trees, like a pine tree, it's a really light color on the inside of the tree. Wisping here. Gotta let the outside part dry some. Normally when I work, I play music. It relaxes me. I listen to all sorts of music. But the fact that I don't want somebody to remove part of my video only because I played their song or songs, I just don't feel like getting the written permission for it. So you can play your music while you're painting it. And here is that part of the Lorax. It looks around his mouth. It seems to be a little dry. So I am going to go back and paint him maybe a pinkish, maybe a pinkish red color. I'm not going to use very much. So if you want to use the pinkish red for his mouth, you can do that. But I think I'm just going to use pink. And that way you get his mouth. Now I need to get his nose. And I might go back and use that bark color that I used for his nose, just to give it another brown color. Again, that was bark brown. Yeah, bark brown. So let me see if I can find my bark brown. And while I do that, I'm going to paint him. Okay. Painted the Lorax. Painted the whiskers, the nose, the mouth. Now we need to go to the bird's head. And again, we're going to use the school bus yellow to paint that. Same thing here. I'll probably end up using the same pink for his lips and mouth. Not lips because they don't have lips, but for his mouth. Again, do some wisping. The eyes are closed, so I'm painting all of this one. Painting it here. I don't even paint. So I'm going to let the mouth dry before I go on and paint the the mouth to the inside of the beak for the bird. In the meantime, I'm going to move over to the next one and paint a purple color. And let's do, it doesn't have to be the patio paint. This is a violet petunia color. And this is going to be for the seeds of the Truffula tree. So as you can see here, just paint these little dots. And let them dry. We don't need to do anything with this one. Waiting for the Lorax. So let's go back and paint with the pink of the bird's mouth. So again, I'm going to use that pink color. You don't have to use a pink color. You can use a red color. Let's go a little different, and let's use, you could use the same pink so that you don't have to go buy out another pink, which is a pink blush. However, if you already have a bunch of paints and you just want to use other paints, this is a petal pink. Shake this up. This is almost like a mauve color. I think I'm just going to use that here. For the beak. Now we're going to have to go with the grass. Okay? We're going to go with the grass. Now for any color for the grass you could use. I think I'm going to use just a regular green. Let's see. Just a regular green I'm going to use. Yeah, I got this on clearance. And like I said, it's a good time to just pick up when you see places where they have them on sale. Just pick up the paint because, you know, you'll always be using them. So I'm going to use this Jubilee green. It can be any color green you want. You can have a darker green, a lighter green, any of those colors that you want. So now I've got the color green I want to use. Make sure my paintbrush is slightly wet for this one because I'm using the grass. And you know, I got to go back in here with my bark brown and paint in that part of the foot. So let's finish painting this. I like to do a little wisp. And let's do some wisping over on this side, just a little bit. Like so. So now I gotta go get that bark brown that I was using for my tree. Not bark brown, we're gonna do a really darker brown for the bottom of the foot of the bear. And if you don't have to go and buy, if you're trying to go darker with a brown, say this brown right here that we're using, the espresso, You don't have to go buy another brown just to go darker. You can always use black to make it darker. And if you want to go lighter, you use white. If you want to add, you think, oh, it needs some more yellow tint to it, add a drop of yellow tint into a little container. Paint a little paint tray like this, and then you can mix up your colors. So let me go back here and paint his dark brown bottom of his foot. Like so. All right. Now we've painted all the colors of where we needed to paint up here. We're going to save the rim for the last part to paint, only because, you know, it gets all scuffed up, and that'll be the last thing to paint. But right now we're going to go and outline everything. So I am going to use my Lorax book to look at a lot of these. I checked out this book. If you check my other YouTube channel, Lola's Enchanted Bookshelf, there I will have this book read in a video. But let's go and start painting the outlines of these animals. Okay, so this is the one I used to draw out the bear. Okay, and we're going to try something. Let's try using a thin Sharpie marker first to see if this works. If this does not work, then we're going to go with black paint. And the reason why I say to try to use the pen first, it's a lot of outlining. It's quicker. So let's see if this word unless is actually going to work with the marker. I mean, you have a thin layer. There to write unless, you know, see that? Let me see if I got a thicker marker. Let's see how well this marker writes. For the words. Now, I don't want to do the thicker marker for this. I don't want to do that. But for the purposes of the letters, this really works so much better. This part is faster for the paint. If you're going to paint it, you can paint it with the letters. With black, but I am going to stick with this marker because then I'm going to seal it. Okay, just in case you want to stick it out in a porch that does not get wet at any point in time. You have a covering for it. Say you have a sunroom where it's not going to get wet. So I think writing this is working out nicely. It's fast. You probably could have colored if you had coloring markers. You probably could have colored these out if you wanted to. But since I've already had the paint, I'm sticking with my paint. Only because I'm used to doing a lot of painting. Make sure you don't miss any of those white spots. So then you can go back and do that. So I'm going to go around with all the words and write all the words in. Okay. And then we're going to come back with the other marker and use them for the picture. So I'm going to put you on pause and go back through and write in all the outline of the letters. So now that I've gone back and used the marker, or you could use your paint if you want to. Probably on a slicker surface, you'll probably have to use the paint to paint the outlines. I started drawing in the outlines and the hairs of the pictures that I'm using. I'm using this particular one down at the bottom. So I am using my marker. Kind of give the outside look. Again, we're whispering for his foot, drawing the hair at the bottom. This is what I'm doing here. Now we're going to draw the little grapes or seeds, whatever you want to call them, whatever the truffula seeds are. And make sure they're all put in really good. So now let's finish in with these trees and the grass. Here. So I'm going to give him some more hair up in here. Make him look like some hairs going on. You can see his fur. Same goes up here. This is actually 2 legs. So we're going to make sure we fill those in. Okay. And that's his feet. This one didn't do very dark. All right, now I'm going to go over to the sneed. I'm going to flip through the page and try to find the sneed one that I used, which is right here. I'm going to trace that as well, just like you see him touching the bottom here. He's got that white part, so I am just going to trace all of those out. Leave a little bit of hairlines here for the thread. I'm going to continue painting this, drawing it out. I started doing the Lorax part. Then I'm going to go all the way through and finish painting with the other animals. So I'm putting you on pause. See you in a moment. As you can see, I have gone back and done the outlines and some hairlines and some of the thread lines all on the inside, the Lorax. So I've done all that. Now we can go to the edge of the pot. I'm going to paint that, and I'm going to paint the inside up until the line right here. I'm going to paint all that. So I'm going to use a light sky blue color. It's called Morning Blue. You can use any other color. Because this has a lot, I'm going to use a little cup and put a lot of the paint inside. Get that one little piece. Is a little tricky there. And so this time, instead of using a thin regular brush, I'm going to be using one of these brushes here. You can use this one, or you can go a little thicker if you want, but for all purposes, I'm just going to use this particular one. Got my paint. So right now, I'm going to paint the inside of I'm painting the inside of the pot. You don't have to go all the way down, only because you're going to be gluing stuff down on the bottom, and there's no need. So I'm trying to get the outside tops as well. I'm not painting the outside just yet because this is why you wear an apron, or you wear a shirt that you do not want to get to be kept clean. Like it's okay if you get paint on it. So I'm just going around painting the tops and the inside for now. You can give it one coat, or you can let it dry, go back and do another coat if you want to. That is up to you. But we are going to keep painting these. Now I'm going to go with the outside. So now I'm going to paint the outside of the trim. Kind of give it a sky blue color. And I'm sorry I'm painting off camera if you can't see it. But you get the idea of what needs to be done. So you're worried about that one mark? It was all scuffed up. You can do a second coat on that if you wanted to, if you couldn't get it. However, I am just painting these. And so now we're done painting the inside of your pot. And while I'm at it, I'm going to be painting the smaller ones of this, which I will have a video of me doing that as well, where I'm painting all these smaller ones that I'm just going to show that I'm painting all these, and this is what we're doing to all of them. You can use a different color if you want. You don't have to use the blue. I just like using the blue because it kind of reminds me of the springy part of the Lorax, of the sky with the trees. And that's what I'm going to use there. So if you want to do different sizes, you can get it all done in one shot. Some things I just like going ahead while I'm using the paint to just go ahead and paint the other things that I'm using, because I have a lot of this paint left. So I wanted to make sure I use it all before scraping it back into the bottle. Okay, and then I also have the extra small one, which in another video I again will show you how to do those. I'll give you two options of this one, but the smaller ones will be the easiest ones to, the quickest and the cheapest. Because the bigger you go, obviously, the more expensive your items are going to cost you when you are making truffula trees. Tiny ones like this only cost, doesn't even cost that much. But as you have to make bigger tree trunks for the truffula trees, they cost money. And I'm going to tell you what, the fox fur that we're going to be using for the truffula tree, man, those things are expensive. So the easiest one is obviously these, which I will show in another video. And what I'm going to do is try to scrape some of this back into my container. That one just didn't want to come off. So I'm going to try to take some of this and not waste it. Scrape it back in there. So what I will do with this while all of these dry, I'm sure my truffula tree trunks are dry by now, but I gotta let all these dry before I do the next part of the project. In the meantime, I'm going to wash this out, and properly clean my brushes. So I'm gonna put you on pause while I wait for all my items to dry. Okay, I have taken some scrap foam and had cut away with an X-Acto knife to try to put this in here at somewhat, it doesn't have to be quite at the bottom, but enough to be able to stick the pole through here. So you can take any scrap of foam and cut away the edges. Now I also have to start cutting the pieces here. So I'm going to draw a line around all of these. Okay, because then I'm going to have to cut it out. Oh, let me do this. And for the really big truffula tree, I liked using the really thick foam. That way it'll hold the weight of the ball of the truffula tree and this pole. I'm going to cut these out. And you're might have to do on the other side as well once you can pull some of this out. So let me cut this at an angle to start getting some of this out. And then keep cutting and cutting. Let's see if a pencil will go all the way through. That way it can start, I can know exactly where I need to start cutting. All right. See if we can push that through. Let's see what this, if it'll let me do it. Push it through. Not quite. Didn't quite go all the way through. This might take some time. Just use a pole of some sort. Now what I'll probably do is that I can get in here, cut this back a little bit. I'll probably start seeing where I can just do a square and then we'll round out the edges. Let's see if it'll let me do that. Yeah, somewhat let me do that. All right, so it's still narrow, so I'm going to keep playing with this. I'm going to do the other two the same, And then I'm going to show you where you need to cut the balls on the styrofoam balls. Okay, I've got the ball, styrofoam ball. This one is 8 inches in width. And these are very, very expensive. I mean, just one in a craft hobby store is like $14 after tax, just for this size for one. These are very expensive. So I would suggest buying them offline if you're going to use this size, even the smaller sizes. If you want to use this size, I would suggest buying multiple online. If you're going to do 3, as in this, I'm going to do three of them. Or you can do your just one. But because I had extras of the hula hoop, I was going to do 3 with this particular pot. So now I'm going to trace. I'm going to use this hole because it's already started, and if you look, the ring is practically the size of this. But I'm going to trace this anyways, just to make sure it's not going to be too big. I'd rather have it snug than too big. So I'm going to trace these on all my balls, and I'm going to cut them out. Now, I'm going to start with this, but then I think I'm going to use some type of pick, a metal pick of some sort, like when you do ice, to try to jam that in there and get that hole, because I'm not going to be able to go through the other side of this to carve it out. So this is just going to start the process, and I'm doing this at an angle because I want to get a piece out and then start from there. See how it did it at an angle? So then I'm going to take a pick and I'm going to put it in there. I'm probably going to go about 1 inch thick, deep, so that way it'll stay in place. So I'm going to do this to all 3 of my balls, styrofoam balls. While I do that, I'm going to put you on pause. And so I did the holes all the way through for the foam. Put those aside, and I'm going to work on the balls. I'm going to put you on pause. After I cut this out, I ended up using a pair of scissors that was really sharp at the end. I did a few jabs all around, and then I just did a circular motion, and a lot of the foam started coming out. And then I just blew on it into the trash, and it came out. So now that I'm done with all the balls, everything that's styrofoam, I am going to seal this and seal the Truffula tree trunks. So I bought a spray paint. You can get a clear gloss or a matte. So if you like this without it being any shine to it, I suggest getting the matte. But I particularly got this one. Make sure it's a clear gloss. It's for outside or indoors. However, spray this, all your stuff, spray this outside for ventilation, because you do not want to be smelling the fumes. This one, I made sure it was water resistant so that the paint doesn't start coming off. Again, I bought the gloss coating. You can buy the flat if you want to. This one I bought at Hobby Lobby for $8. and you can use this for a lot of your other paints. So I'm going to glue these, I'm going to spray paint these. I don't want to spray paint them while the foam is inside, because if you spray paint, do any type of spraying, somehow the chemical reaction with the styrofoam is going to eat the styrofoam. So I'm going to wait for that. I'm going to spray paint this, wait a couple of hours. Hey everyone. Now that I have spray painted this, I am going to take the different colors. It doesn't matter what color rocks you use. These I just got at the convenient craft store. They don't have to be colored, but I already happen to have these, but you can buy bags of these or whatever color, or you can buy just regular rocks. Reason why we're putting the rocks in there at the bottom is so that it will stay in place and stay stable, so that when we put the trees in there, they don't lean over and this doesn't tip over. So right now, I'm just going to lay these in here. Some of these are some peacock feathers that I had. Had it with something else. Okay. I've had my glue gun on. I have this long glue gun glue you can buy because I've got a bigger project to use. I'm going to take my styrofoams. I'm going to measure in here about where they're going to go. And then I'm just going to glue in place. Sorry, I got some older glue up in here. That's why it's yellow. It's going to glue onto some of the rocks that I have in here. And I'm just going to glue it down in here. Okay, I'm going to take the other one, do the same thing. Let me do some measurements. Okay. And stick that in there. Do my last one. Measure. Make this more even. Okay. If you've got a bigger glue gun, I suggest using that one because it's got a lot of gluing you got to do. Just want to make sure there's enough glue in here and glue it down. Okay. Now I'm just going to take these. I'm going to put them in here. I'm going to glue gun them down there, all of them. The arch, I think I might have them go on the outside That's not gluing very well. Let me glue up in here again. It's not staying. Okay. So I think I'm going to take these and try to figure out where I want to put these at. Do I want them all in and out? See, that's not going to stay. I might have to change that out some. I might have to move the rocks out of the way because see what's going to happen. I think I might have to put the rocks all in the middle part. But I'm going to put my truffula trees like this. So let me see if moving these rocks out of the way is going to solve the problem. Take these glues off. It's glued on the bottom. I know for sure that, move that out of the way. I definitely want to glue this down for sure. So once you figured out how you want to lay your truffula tree trunks, you can do that. Lay that down there. I think I'm just going to place it in for now. And then really get that, push that way down in there. And I'm going to take some glue and glue the truffula tree trunks in there. Sure, I've got old glue. That's why it looks like a yellow color. That's on the outside of this. So I'm going to do that with the rest of these. Move the rocks out of the way, glue these in, and then we're going to start decorating the truffula trees. So I'm going to stop here and finish up. Okay, so I've glued them in. I've put the rocks in here. I've moved to a different spot because I need you all to be able to see all of this. And I'll be adjusting the camera as I grow up to this top and do the truffula trees. So we're still working on the bottom. We still have a lot of this stuff to fill in. I've seen some people do the much smaller truffula trees, and they use tissue paper that was green that you could use here. However, I am going to use, I bought a roll of this at the Dollar Tree, but you can buy this at any store. It's a roll of regular packing paper. I'm just going to fill this up here and work my way around the trees. I'm also going to ball it up as well. This will help keep it in place. This wasn't just one roll. This was actually part of a roll. So don't think that just because this was it, that's it. No, that's not all of the roll. I just rolled a piece up off and working my way around this. Still see this one truffula tree is still a little wobbly. Okay. So now I'm going to push these down some. so they stay into the pot, because then I am going to layer them. What I mean by that, I'm going to put more stuff on top of this brown. Trying to make sure this one stays unstable enough so it doesn't fall over. Alright, so I've got this down. Now you can buy, this is called deer moss. And like I said, some people put like regular Easter grass or other types of regular grass, but I really like this deer moss. And deer moss comes in a variety of colors. You can get it in just about any color you want. This is actual moss. It's a deer moss that you can buy. This is a, I believe this is like, I want to say a 16 ounce pack. Like I said, you can buy different colors if you want, but I'm going to use this one for the grass. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pause it real quick and grab the glue, the liquid glue that I forgot to grab. So hold on a moment. Alright, I've grabbed some glue. A lot of times I like working with tacky glue. Let me turn it upside down. It's called tacky glue, Aleene's. This works really well with lots of crafts. However, I don't know how fast this is going to come out. If not, I'm going to use some school glue, liquid school glue, at the bottom. And then you're going to have to let that dry for several days for it to dry completely. You can set it out in the sun and let it dry. So first, let me just try this glue right here. Don't know how well it's going to hold. See, it's going to take a long time to come out. This is only going to be like a couple at a time. So now what I'm just going to end up doing is just pouring some of this glue up in here. And I'm going to work my way around. And the reason why I'm pouring some glue in here is because it's going to help keep everything in place. And then I'm going to lay my deer moss on top. Alright, so I'm going to try to put some up here in the cracks. Like I said, I'm going to let this dry for several days. Once you put the deer moss up on there, because you want it to dry thoroughly. So if I'm putting a lot of this glue, then you're going to want to make sure the liquid doesn't come out if you're trying to move it around. I mean, if you want to set it in place where you know you want it and you want to keep it, then you let it dry there. So again, this is school clear glue. A lot of times you can buy them for like less than $20. This is a big bottle. I happen to buy this one on clearance. Lucky me. It was right after school supplies were all done with and kids were back at school. They started marking that stuff down. So I grabbed it because I knew I do lots of crafts. So now I'm going to take the moss and I'm just going to start laying it down in here. One out some. So while I put you on pause, I'm just going to finish this up and come back. Alright, I have finished the bottom with the deer moss. Again, that's called deer moss if you ever want to look it up. You can get it online and they ship it to you. That's probably the cheapest way to go. Or you can go over to a a horticultural center, and they'll have some moss in bags. But now I'm going to move the camera up to the top. So now we're going to work our way up the tree. So bear with me here. So I have the tops of the trees. I have my balls that I'm going to use, my styrofoam balls that I'm going to put in them. Now, before I do, I'm going to glue them. And I think I'm going to use the sticky glue instead of the other glue, such as the school glue or the hot glue gun, because that way it's not too runny like the school glue, and it's not gonna dry too quite quick with the hot glue, because with the hot glue you don't necessarily get in all the pores. So with a liquid sticky glue, that works well. So now I'm just going to place them, push them down up on here, and you want to make sure, take some force on that, that it stays up there. So I'm going to work with the other pieces. Some more glue. I like to keep my sticky glues upside down into some type of a tall container, because that way you get all the glue at the bottom. So I just happen to use a utensil plastic. Again, you buy it at thrift store, you could buy it at the Dollar Tree, anywhere you want to buy it. You don't have to be fancy, or you can be fancy. So now I'm just going to start putting these on, and I'm really going to push down. So I really want those to stay in. So I think I'm going to have to end up moving him around. That way he'll stay that way. And I got one more. And putting the ball here. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? Do y'all remember? I forgot to put glue. Make sure I put enough glue up in there. Don't be stingy. And put it back in. Okay, now I'm going to push this back even more so you can see. The trees. I'm going to work with this one right here. Let's turn this around just a tad. I'm going to pull this out a tad so I can pull it around. I'm going to work with one, and then I'm going to spin it, work with another, so that you can see, vice versa, and vice versa. All right. Now, let's talk about what to use for the fur. Truffula trees are very fluffy, as you can see in the backgrounds. The truffula trees are very fluffy. I had two choices. I happen to have a rug, a short rug, that is very furry. It's got a fabric material on the side and the back side, so hopefully it won't be too hard to cut. Or I got a pack of different colors to use. That is, I believe these are 10 by 10s. You can buy smaller strips, you can buy a bigger one, but I'll tell you what, these packets are not cheap. These packets were over $20 just for a pack of 8 10 by 10 different colors. And because these are 8s wide, I wanted to make sure I didn't run out, so I bought 2 of them. So that's why I said in the description and in the title, not a cheap project to do. But if you want more things that look like reality, this is what you're going to use. So again, this was fox fur, meaning it's fake fur. It's not real fur. It comes very flat. Like I just happened to just fluff it up. It comes very flat. It came flat like this. And it wasn't very furry. And when I thought here, I was going to put it over here, and I thought, oh, I need some more fluffiness. So what you can do is you can take it and flip it upside down. Shake it upside down. And there you go. Now you have your fluff. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to cut slits in it. Some of this is going to come off, because when you cut, some of this is going to come off. I strongly suggest you save every lock of this fox fur, because you're going to end up needing it, or you can end up using it on smaller Truffula trees and just start gluing the locks together and all the scraps together. So now I'm going to figure out, I know Truffula trees kind of had a roundish circle to it, so I'm going to end up using it to go at a certain angle and around, okay? I may end up using this one and it get all fuzzy like this, or I can take my rug, which is a little bit heavier, and put it up on the Truffula tree. So the other fur is really light, and this one is kind of heavy. But in using these types of furs, since this is a rug, you want to use something that you use to cut with a rug. Now you can buy scissors for rugs that cuts rugs. If your husband does some type of construction, does flooring and stuff like that, ask him if you can borrow this. Or if you do construction and you do the flooring part, then you already have one of these scissors. This is a pretty strong scissors. This is 22 inches in length. And this particular brand is a very popular brand. It's called Crescent Wiss. You don't have to use this one. You can buy another brand if you want, but this is, you know, very heavy stainless steel. And I've had to cut some pretty thick fabric when I've made other things. So I'm just going to cut some parts off of this. And we're going to see how this holds up on here. And if I find that this is going to be too much, then I think I'm going to end up, and I want to make sure I separate all these. Kind of like separate the area here. I want to make sure I put, now if you have a really big table, you can do that. I'm just cutting a piece off, because you can always cut pieces and add. So let's take this one. I see the fur flying everywhere. I'm going to cut it some more. And I'm going to kind of cut at a circular motion because this sphere is a little round. or it's very round. And I want to make this just a little round. Okay. Again, at the end, there's a bunch of this fox fur on the floor. You can, like I said, save those for later if you work on a smaller truffula tree or if you're working on anything else that you want to make. So now I have this, and I'm going to have to cut it in slits on both sides. If you remember in school you had some globes and it was a map of the world, and it was kind of cut in little circular shapes. I'm going to do that to the sides. So what I'm talking about, let me take a marker here and show you. So remember the globe had the map was kind of like this, right? Kind of had these slits all the way through on both sides, and they laid the globe out flat on a map. It was the map of the world. That's what I'm going to do. You don't have to be all perfect as to where to cut. Just know that you want to make it a circular motion. So that when you start wrapping it around, you have it there. Now I'm just going to go up here and cut little pieces off. And again, you can use those smaller pieces for little spots that you might need, so that you don't have to cut a whole new piece on it. So see, I've done that. Now I'm going to do the other side. And see, again, save these little pieces for when you're going to need it. All right, I'm going to lay this on top. Now this is the first time I'm making this. So when you make it, at least you know what was wrong, what was right, and you can work from there. So now I'm going to take this, now that I've cut them, and I'm going to start glue gunning it all the way around. So I've got my glue gun. I tied a string on it because it's really long. I just didn't want it in the way. And I'm going to work from the top of this down to the base, because as you add more pieces, you're going to not really see them on the bottom. You're going to really look at the top. So let's start with just gluing. I think I'm going to have to get a different glue gun. This one's not working right. Let me grab a different glue gun. I'll be right back. All right. Hopefully this glue gun will work, because my other ones I just don't have anymore. So now, like I said, you're going to take the top and really try to glue it in there. And the only thing about this is I didn't change it out. However, I keep a basket of glue gun sticks around. Put that in a moment. And let's get to the top. it doesn't hold when I glue the other parts. I've got another trick, but let's not talk about that. Let's try to finish this first. So now I'm going to take the glue and I'm just going to move the glue gun all around. Make sure when you press down, you are pressing and holding up underneath. Otherwise, this is going to break. So always make sure you hold from underneath. It seems to be holding. Now there are going to be parts where I'm going to have to end up cutting. So you see here where I'm going to have to end up cutting this. And again, you're going to just save the pieces as you cut. You see? So let's kind of measure now. And now I'm going to have to go in here a little more. Cut that off just a little bit more. And do the base. So that's going to go straight down. And let's see, the other side seems to be somewhat okay. I'm going to have to cut some pieces on that. But I definitely have to cut this piece. So I'm going to try to separate some of this so I don't lose a whole bunch of it. And you're going to save that for later. And I'm going to have to make another cut up in here, just to make sure that when I lay it down, it's going to go flat. All right, so again, you're saving these other extra pieces that you can work on the bottom. Do my left hand. So I'm going to work all the way around and gluing this one. And I see it's kind of like leaning a lot. It's probably going to do that as I put more in here. And I'm probably going to have to work on the bottom a little bit more and try to make it more stable. So I'm going to finish this one up. Again, once I'm finished with this one big piece, I am going to go back and cut another piece to fit on the bottom, and then I'm going to save these pieces for all the extra fillings at the bottom. Okay, sorry you couldn't see that. Let me repeat this again. So here, when I get to the bottom, I'm going to end up using the other pieces here and work my way around it. Okay, that's why I said save these pieces, no matter how small, even all these little pieces that are getting up on your chest and everything, you can save all those to make the smaller ones. So I'm going to put this on pause and finish this up. All right, I've done one of the Truffula trees. I'm just trying to put the rest of it in a big bag. I'm going to pick up all the little pieces, stick it up in there. So now what you're going to do is fluff the tree out. You're going to have some of it come off. So once you fluff it out, now there was little gaps in here. Like right here, I had a little tiny gap. But if you fluff the tree out, yeah, see, this is what it would pick up after you fluff it out. And you got the Truffula tree. So now you can pick up all this other stuff and you can make your needs, with the little fabric, especially all the little fabrics up on my shirt. You can make your little needs now. What I have done is I use this when I do sewing. This is a roller and it does really well. I'm picking up all the lint and everything off your shirt because this is a messy project. This is a very messy project. So this might take you a couple of times to use this and use a couple of sheets. Take this one off. Let's put it off because it stops sticking. Continue, get the rest off. So I'm going to be cleaning up. Before I work on another one, I'm going to clean up all this hair, all this fox fur, because I'm going to use it. And I don't want it all mixed up with different colors, because I might want to use the same one, the same color. And I don't want any of them mixed up. So, good idea to get one of these. This is called a roller tape. You can find that in the luggage section if you look online, or if you look at a clothing store or a department store, you can find that. So I'm going to clean up all this mess, and then I'm going to take another one of those fabrics, one of the smaller ones, like this. It's going to take a couple of the sheets of this and do the other ones. I think I'm probably going to use, I have purple, I have pink, I have green, obviously yellow. So I'm going to go with more of a yellow, maybe the red and the pink color on my other two trees. So I'm going to stop it now. I'm going to clean up this mess. And then what you're going to do is you're going to work on your next color after you cleaned up all your little hairs and fox fur and everything. You're going to do your next one, same thing. Cut it with the, like you did with the, like the map, like this one. And you're going to hot glue it again. All the fur is going to be on the floor. Once you're done and you fluffed it out, sweep it up again. Keep all those colors in one bag as well. Then work on your last one over on this side. And same process again. Make sure you work with one color at a time. You clean it up. Unless you have no desire to reuse these ones down here at the bottom. But I know I can make several of the smaller ones to go in smaller pots with all the fur that is on the floor. It is this part is a very messy project. Now, what I've had to do here, let me take the camera and scroll it down some. This was leaning over, so I had to use a bunch of shimmies. They're the popsicle sticks. I had to use all the shimmies in here to try to keep it straight up so it wasn't leaning over and practically falling out. So I did that all around the other plants. What I'm probably going to do is, if you look at the Truffula Trees, like on the movie, it's kind of green up here. It's kind of greenish up here. So I'll probably paint these a matching green color with this so it doesn't really show. And the ones on the outside, I'm going to wait till this dries. And then I'm going to go back around with maybe a Dremel and cut all of this off. And you won't be able to see it with the moss. So I'm going to pause now. I'm going to clean up my mess for this one color. I'm going to stop now and do the other colors and show you once I finish those. Okay, like I said, I had to go back and stabilize the bottom because the Truffula trees were just too heavy leaning over. So you're going to need, for me, I just took some more scrap of some of the foam. I would suggest in the beginning, get one of those really thick, big blocks, and then just trim away to make it at a circle so that all of it's going to stay. But the whole point is you're going to need a really big, big piece of foam block. I didn't have it at the time, so I just worked with what I have and just did layers of foam to stabilize it. Now, we're going to take some pieces. You can use this. I know you get it in lots of shipment. This is popcorn. Or you can get pieces of foam that you already have and cut them in little pieces and then start using them as shimmies into the open holes. And when you do this, you want to make sure that the truffula tree is going to be kind of on directly above this. This is going to help with the weight so it doesn't fall over, because the top part is heavier than the bottom, obviously. So now we want to make sure that it's stabilized, and I'm going to go ahead and fill this all in with popcorn, and then we're going to put back the brown paper and make sure that we don't see the brown paper with the deer moss. And there you have it, guys, your truffula tree. I have 3 of them. This one is about 3.5 feet tall, a little bit taller if you fluff it up. Also, if you guys like earrings for all the different Dr. Seuss necklaces as well, if you like the shirt, please check the link below. I also will be reading different books of Dr. Seuss, so you can show you that link as well of all the Dr. Seuss books for children like I do in story time. Y'all have a good evening. Bye.